Apologies for that. Welcome to Business Incorporated. It's 25 minutes of going around the world of business. And here's what we have prepared for you. We start in Libya, where the central bank asset has risen to $98.4 billion. And in Kenya, the Nairobi Stock Exchange has launched a new index to measure banking stocks. In Nigeria, the impact of PENGASSAN strike, which has been suspended, is being counted as been lost in output of oil and gas. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa. We start from the oil space, where oil prices fell on Thursday. That's down for a fourth straight day as the U.S. government shut down. We know worries about the global economy. It's a problem to everyone. Traders are expected more oil supply to come into the market with a planned output boost by OPEC Plus. That's supposed to start next month. So we see for Brent this afternoon, it's a drop of about 31 cents, and that's about 0.4%, $65.05 a barrel. WTI is also down 0.47%, $61.78 a barrel. And of course, the U.S. government shut down. The last time that the world heard about this is about 8 years ago, and now we're seeing it again, and it's affecting commodities and investor sentiment. Still talking about what's going on in the oil space, but here in Nigeria, the country's daily oil and gas production slumped during a brief nationwide strike, which we know has been suspended now by Oil Workers Union PENGASSAN after government mediated talks with Dangote Refinery. And this finding is by Impact Report. The strike, which began September 28, was called off suspended after the Dangote Refinery, Africa's largest, with crude processing capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, dismissed more than 800 unionized staff. And the walkout cut about 283,000 barrels per day of oil. That's roughly 16% of national output, and 1.7 billion standard cubic feet per day of gas, while knocking out more than 1,200 megawatts of power generation. This is according to the report by the state oil firm NNPCL. The NNPCL had warned that disruption posed a material threat to key facilities and national energy securities. Away from oil and gas now, let's see what's going on with metals. Gold prices rose on Thursday, hovering near a record high as heightened expectations of further U.S. interest rate cut this year and political uncertainty on account of a contentious U.S. government shutdown drove demand for the metal. So we see a recovery from the last time we had this program just 2 days ago. Spot gold is up 0.3% at $3,877.70. U.S. gold is also up 0.2% at $3,900. We've seen that move above the 3,800 record high that we celebrated a couple of days ago. So it's now at $3,903.10. Spot silver is also in the green, almost 50%, almost 0.5%, 0.3%, at $47.45. Platinum is up 1.5%. $1,579.55. Palladium is up 1.6% at $1,264.31. Now, move away from those commodities. Reports indicate that the Central Bank of Libya's foreign assets, including foreign currency reserves, increased by approximately $3 billion between the start of 2025 and the end of September. By late September, the bank's total foreign assets stood at $98.4 billion. That's compared with $95.3 billion at the end of 2024. And the sources emphasize that no part of the central bank's official reserves had been used during the period, describing the overall position of external balances as comfortable. A forthcoming periodic statement from the bank is expected to provide further details on the performance of foreign balances, foreign currency deficit, also stands at about $5.9 billion. According to the central bank, data foreign currency revenues were up to at the end of August. It reached 15.8 billion, while outflows amounted to 21.7 billion, leaving a deficit of about 5.9 billion. The bank explains that the shortfall was covered through returns on its investments in deposits and gold, as well as $400 million withdrawn from reserves. Despite this, the CBL confirms that its total foreign asset had still increased to $97.3 billion by the end of August, compared with $95.3 billion at the close of 2024. In Kenya, the Nairobi Securities Exchange has introduced a banking sector index, a market capitalization weighted and float adjusted benchmark that will track the performance of listed banks. The index features major lenders including Absa Bank Kenya, Diamond Trust Bank Kenya, Equity Group Holdings, and I&M Group, among others. The launch of the banking sector index is fully aligned with the new strategy of driving product diversification and deepening market activity. This is the perspective of the NSE Chief Executive, Frank Mwiti. Beyond providing investors with reliable performance tracker, the index is supposed to highlight the banking sector as a key driver of economic growth and create a strong foundation for future product innovation. And this, they say, is a critical step in positioning the NSE as a modern, globally competitive marketplace. We're still in Kenya, where the parliament has approved the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company, paving the way for the government to divest 65% of its shareholding to private investors. Once this move comes after the cabinet approved the partial privatization in July, framing it as a shift towards democratizing ownership and unlocking the firm's full commercial potential. According to government projections, the divestment is expected to raise about 100 billion shillings to help address budget shortfalls. And then we leave Kenya. In Zimbabwe, the Schools Examination Council is grappling with serious financial infrastructure challenges that are threatening the integrity and smooth delivery of national examinations. This is according to the parliamentary report. The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Education released the report following an assessment of ZimTech's examination infrastructure, operational capacity, and financial constraints. ZimTech's ability to expand and modernize its examination infrastructure is hampered by recurring budget deficits and delayed government disbursement. According to the report, ZimTech is owed a staggering 71 million Zimbabwean shilling by the government from March this year. And let's head to the commodities market now. Today we're discussing prawn. Is that a luxury or a necessity? We have Emefiele Onyenika-Chukwu, an analyst with financial derivatives company, joining us for this conversation. Hi, Emefiele. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
So, I think I should start by asking prawn. We know it's a popular seafood, it's consumed there, but here in Nigeria, is it considered a necessity or a luxury?
Thank you. Yes, you're very right. Prawn is considered as a luxury, actually, not as a necessity. Because prawn is known as a premium seafood, and it is very expensive because it's placed in, and it's very expensive. And so here in Nigeria, because it's very expensive, it's only consumed majorly by the elites, that's high income earners. And also because of how rich it is as well, you find out that it's hotels and restaurants too, they're the ones that also demand for this prawn. So if you're looking at it, if you look at it, you see that it's not a necessity, but it's a luxurious good here in Nigeria.
So once again, Nigeria has been named one of the major producers of prawn globally, but I wonder what we're doing with it. Any reports of packaging, adding value, export, or is it all consumed right here in the country?
Yes, you're very right that Nigeria is the leading producer of prawn here in Africa, and this is because we have a large coastal region, and it is majorly produced in the Niger Delta region. Also, prawn here in Nigeria is exported. It's not just for local consumption, because we already have data that shows that we exported prawn in the 80s and even 2024. So, but over the years, we've seen that exports has declined because there are certain challenges that still persist in this industry that has reduced production of prawn here in Nigeria. And these challenges are, one, storage facilities. Storage facilities here, we have very poor storage facilities, which has affected the preservation of these prawns. And prawns, they're supposed to be stored in the refrigerators because they need to be preserved cold. And if they are not properly preserved, it's prone to food poisoning. Another reason is that it is highly capital intensive as well. Because it is capital intensive, we find out that a lot of farmers do not engage in prawn production here in Nigeria, limiting production. But I also have to let you know that Nigeria's prawn is in high demand globally because, one, our prawn is very unique. Our prawn is very unique because it's gotten out of the ocean, yes, and it is very unique because of its taste. We don't use artificial feed. But another thing we also have to know is that we also have unique species that are in demand globally. So prawn here in Nigeria, we have that export potential. But the only thing is that it's just production here is limited because of structural challenges that exist.
All right, it's good to know that products, so at least in this case, Nigerian prawn is in high demand, but I wonder if we're making even a 10th use of that potential. Thank you so much, Emefiele Onyelukachiku, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Let's head to the markets now. At this time, we start from here in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we're in the red this intraday, but it's slight. Perhaps we have even recovered by now. Hopefully, at the close of trade, the markets would have recovered. It's at 142,682.30 for JSE. They've gone from, I think the last time we met here, the market was at 107,000 level, but we've seen that it's gained at intraday. It's gone up to 109,339.40. This intraday alone, it's gained 0.63%. Let's see all the markets on the continent. Egypt is green at intraday, 36,900.70. While NSE are still around the 100, in fact, getting close to 179, 180, I guess. One of these days we're going to have to be reporting that. And we remember now that they have that new index to measure the market, the banking sector. And, you know, banks, the most liquid sector, at least here in Nigeria and in a lot of countries on the continent. So most likely, once that is effective, the new banking index, we're going to see a quick movement of this, and we might be reporting 180 really soon. Let's move away from Africa now. We move to the Middle East, and we see Dubai is almost 0.5% in the green at intraday, 5,916.48. Abu Dhabi is also in the green, 0.36%. 10,000, more than 10,000 right there. Tadawul and Qatar are the red ones from the Middle East. 11,514.41, and for Qatar, 10,863.09, almost 1% in the red. Is a market to look out for and see what's happening. We move over to the United States and see what's happening. Right there, we see the Dow Jones is red. That's the only red, I believe, that we have from the United. S&P is 0.22% in the green. NASDAQ is 0.48% in the green. That's for the United States. Early bird features right there because, of course, I think the market opens in a couple of hours. And let's see what's happening in Asia. We see the Nikkei is very, very green, 0.87%, but not as green as the Kospi. They hit a new high, the South Korea, they hit a new high today at the close of trade, 2.7. That's what they added at 3,000. The Hang Seng is also positive, 1.61% at 27,287.12. Let's see other markets on the Asian continent. Shanghai is green, and Nifty. India is closed today. I believe they were closed also yesterday. They have some holidays going on right there, so closed again today, but they closed in the green. Now, let's see if this green sentiment from Asia is also affecting the European market. We had some economic data coming out from Europe today. Not looking so good, I believe that's the last I heard of it. But we have Chiponda joining us now. He will tell us the details of it, starting with what's going on in the market at intraday. Hi, Chip. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Ini. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, so what are investors doing this afternoon?
Well, European shares are reaching record highs today as well. So it's not just Kospi in Asia, it's also a lot of markets here in Europe. The Pan-European Stock 600 reached a new intraday record high of 569 points. And that is because, of course, most of the European stock exchanges are reaching or at least near their highs. And Germany's DAX is actually up 1.3%, and that brings it close to its record high as well. Now, European shares have been boosted by chip-related companies after an overnight rally on Wall Street. And that has, of course, carried over to their peers here in Europe as well. So we've seen Dutch chip firms ASML and ASMI both jumping more than 4% in today's trading. And that has actually pushed the main index in the Netherlands to an all-time record high as well. But of course, investors, Ini, are still keeping their eyes on the developments in the United States, where there is that government shutdown, which is, of course, likely to delay the release of crucial U.S. jobs data on Friday.
Yeah, well, you know, Chip, I didn't know that there could be a shutdown in the U.S. I thought, they will always get over their differences and avoid a shutdown. But, this is the first in 8 years, so we'll see how they resolve it. Now, in Eurozone, we see inflation figures have been released, and it's above what was expected, above 2% for the first time since April.
Yeah, not so much good news on inflation, which rose to 2.2% in September in the euro area. Now, that is slightly above the European Central Bank's target inflation of 2%. Now, it is food prices that are especially contributing to that increase. They're rising faster than prices for energy, services, and consumer goods. In fact, in a blog published last Thursday, 3 ECB economic advisors wrote that European consumers are spending around a third more on food than they were before the pandemic in 2019. So while inflation is down from peak levels that we saw about 3 years ago, for many European households, it doesn't feel like that. And that is because food prices remain elevated. And according to the central bank economists, 1 in 3 people in the Eurozone is actually worried whether they can afford the food they would like to buy.
So, I wonder how this affects conversations at the European Central Bank, these elevated food prices.
Well, Ini, for one, of course, food is a necessity for all of us. And this upward trend that we are seeing in prices looks like it is set to remain. And there are a couple of developments that are driving food inflation. They include rising labor costs, for instance, and global commodity prices are also increasing because of climate change. Now, that has meant that harvests for some crops have become increasingly unreliable. And that has been the case for coffee. For instance, we have seen coffee prices increasing by more than 50% since 2019 in the Eurozone. So even buying a cup of coffee does increasingly feel like a luxury for some people here. And there's more. Incomes are rising in emerging markets, and that, ironically, is increasingly the demand, of course, for agricultural products. So essentially, for some goods, you have harvests down, but the demand is up. So there's more competition on the global markets. And here in the Eurozone, the picture around inflation is quite complicated. The trends I just mentioned have, of course, different levels of impact on the 20 countries that use the euro. So it will be tricky for the ECB because food prices do, of course, play a very big role in influencing public perceptions about inflation. Now, the expectation is that the central bank will hold rates at the end of this month and keep the benchmark deposit facility rate at 2%.
All right, Chief, thank you so much, and we certainly wish you guys over there success in the fight against inflation. Chief, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Likewise, Ini. Thanks.
Let's get a little bit of conversation in on AI and data on the continent, data innovation. We know everybody's talking about AI now and all. Let's get the views of Tosin Ayodele. He's a technology and innovation leader and tells us his observation of AI and data innovation on the continent. Hi, Tosin. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Great. So what's your observation? Everybody's talking about AI. A lot of people are talking about domesticating solutions, AI solutions, digital solutions for the continent. Where are we in that?
Sorry, I'm trying to get, okay. I'm trying to get what you're saying. Can you come again, please?
Where are we on the continent, on the African continent? Where are we in domesticating AI solutions, digital solutions for us?
Oh, okay. First, thank you so much. I can hear that now. So, across the continent, basically, AI is already providing solutions that touch daily lives, especially in payments. It makes transaction faster, safer, and of course, it reduces fraud. In the health sector now, it helps in the diagnosis and with the patient data, the analysis, and also the telemedicine. And we can't take away in the education, AI enable a personal learning platform that adopt student needs. And also in agriculture, it helps with crops monitoring and market forecasting and basically supply chain support. So the real power of AI in Africa is not replacing human actually, but amplifying human creativity and decision making.
And is this contributing or adding to revenue growth? Have we gotten there yet?
So it's contributing to revenue growth, and we can see like the every day we have that going on. For example, AI is contributing directly to revenue growth across Africa in payments and reduces failure in transaction, which means actually more completed sales and higher revenue for businesses. And if we look at in retails, personalization encourages the repeat purchases, which makes bigger basket size, for example. And also, I'll still talk about the health. It enables faster diagnosis, which offers services. So in all, it's adding to the revenue and also reduces time and reduces borrowing, what could take the company more time by also helping them to make more revenue. So yes, it's increasing.
Do we see in the nearest future where African AI solutions are being exported? Do we see a situation soon?
So in the nearest future, so for African solution, looking ahead really, we are expected to have that because the next wave of AI in Africa will not just solve local problems. It will create a model that the rest of the world can actually learn from because we have our own challenges here that only we can actually come up with that. So, and in education, it will also need to adapt that because more of independence learning is coming in. And yes, in the nearest future, which the future is actually now, if I'm to say, we're actually getting better, and Africa is gonna have more say in the whole AI waves.
All right, yeah, because the future is now. Thank you so much, Tosin Ayodele, Technology and Innovation Leader.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's see what's happening in the crypto space. Look at the numbers. Bitcoin has been moving positively for some days now. I know yesterday, last time I checked, it was yesterday evening, about 116,000 now. It's more than 119,000, gained more than 2% in 24 hours. Are we back in this bullish run? Ethereum is still sustaining the over 4,000 level, so it's good. We've seen most of the color here is in green, even a bit of them that we had in the red some days ago. So it's we're having the bull touch in the market. I wonder if that will last for a long time. But let's see headlines in the crypto space at this time. Citigroup has turned bullish on Ethereum. No wonder Ethereum is sustaining the 4,000. Citigroup raised its year-end outlook for that Ether from 4,300 to 4,500. So there you have Citigroup turns bullish for Ethereum. That's a major one for crypto. Tether partners with Robo, and Swedish lawmakers are pushing for strategic Bitcoin reserves. So another positive push for Bitcoin also coming from Sweden there. And that's it on the program today. So short a time when you're having fun or making money, I know. But that's all for Business Incorporated this afternoon. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We have another episode coming on tomorrow, so not too long we'll be back again. I'm Ini John Mekwa. I'll see you tomorrow. God's grace. Bye-bye.